Tipi. As bands gradually migrated eastward onto the Great Plains to hunt buffalo, they adopted teepees, which were better suited to a nomadic way of life. They covered their teepees with woven rushes and willows and eventually with buffalo hides, like the teepees of the Sioux, Cheyenne, and other plains tribes. Made up of long, slender lodge poles and stitched buffalo hides, a teepee could be easily set up, taken down, and hauled to the next camp. The teepee poles were made from the finest straight young trees they could find. The Indians peeled the bark from the new poles, then dried and seasoned them in the sun so they would stay straight and strong. Depending on the size of the teepee, they needed anywhere from 8 to 20 poles. To put up a teepee, several women lashed 3 or 4 of the poles together and raised them, spreading out the bottom ends so the frame stood upright. To complete the teepee, they filled in the sides with 10 or more smaller poles and wrapped a buffalo hide cover around the cone-shaped structure. Making a cover required hours of labor. Women first spread fresh buffalo hides on the ground and scraped away the fat and flesh with bone or antler blades. They next dried the hides in the sun and scraped off the coarse brown hair. After soaking the hides in water for several days, they rubbed them with a mixture of animal fat, brains, and liver to soften them. After rinsing the hides in water, they smoked them over a fire to give them a tan color. Several women then laid out several tanned hides and carefully stitched them together with sinew. The covering was attached to a lifting pole and raised and then wrapped around the frame. Held together with wooden pins, it had 2 wing-shaped flaps turned back at the top to form a vent or smoke hole. The flaps could be closed to keep out the rain. The flap that covered the U-shaped doorway could also be closed. Men often decorated their teepees. Inside, the spare furnishings included beds, a fireplace, and leather pouches called parfleches, in which food was stored. During a heat wave, the bottom edges of the teepee were raised so the wind could circulate through the dwelling. In winter, people often banked the teepee with a berm or sloped earthen wall for better insulation. They also hung a dew cloth made of buffalo hides on the inside walls from about shoulder height down to the ground. Decorated with paintings of battles or dreams and visions, the dew cloth kept out dampness and created pockets of insulating air. With a fire burning in the center of the earthen floor and buffalo robes for bedding, teepees remained warm even during the coldest months. Teepee etiquette. Number 1. If the teepee door is open, a friend may come in. If the door is closed, the friend should call out and wait to be invited in. Number 2. When a man enters the teepee, he goes to the right and waits. The host will invite him to sit in the guest spot at the left of the host at the rear of the teepee. A woman guest enters after the man and goes to the left. Number 3. When guests are invited to a meal, they are expected to bring their own spoons and bowls. They are also expected to eat all they are given. Number 4. A visitor is never to pass between another person and the fire. Instead, he or she should walk behind the others. The others will lean forward to make room to pass behind. Number 5, women are never to sit cross-legged as the men do. They are to sit on their heels or with their legs to one side. Number 6, it is the older men who begin a conversation. The younger men should be politely silent until invited to speak. Number 7, it is time for all guests to leave when the host cleans his pipe.